As a comic writer, I am making NaNoWRIMO this year for the first time ever. 50,000 words or more on November. Hello everyone, I am MG and I am a freelance comic artist, but I also create my own comic on the side, and that involves creating the story, hence writing. Now, because this channel is more targeted at comic writers and artists, I am going to explain what NaNoWRIMO is. NaNoWRIMO is National Novel Writing Month, and it's an annual internet-based creative writing project that takes place during the month of November. Participants attempt, they do not necessarily achieve, but they do attempt to write a 50,000 word manuscript between November 1 and November 30. There's even a NaNoWRIMO website, and there are even famous writers that make pep talks for amateur writers like me, basically. Now, again, for comic creators, it is very important for me to talk about how novels are made, but how can that benefit us for our comic? Basically, every book you see has probably been written around 2 times at least, if not more. The first time it's called the first draft. The first draft is also called the trash draft, and you write everything that comes up in your story, and you don't care if it's perfect, it's good. You don't even care sometimes if you have the dialogue, if you have all the names of all the characters. You just write. And the principle is that you cannot correct a blank page, but you can correct a first draft. And hence then, let's make this an example, even though I don't know. Let's say there was a first draft for this book, then with just what happens without any dialogue or anything. Then let's say with Lord of the Rings, it probably happened. The writer made the whole world building and stuff, and then which was an ongoing process for him. And then he did another draft, and then the third draft, and then the fourth draft. There are people that go up to 7 drafts actually, and then you get a book. Probably a Lord of the Rings book. I don't think he took that long with each story from this book. But anyway, especially prolific writers do this, but that's very liberating for you to do a first draft of your story. And let me tell you something, I did publish my comic in a first draft, basically, so even now I do not regret the artwork in my comic, but I do regret a little bit the story because it isn't as strong as I would like, and there were many storytelling mistakes I did for everyone in the world to see. And I know in comics, because the artwork does help to save the story a little bit, but the story does need to be strong. And I personally, I want to make a great story and then improve it even more with the artwork. So I already had made a video about making a writing habit, and I have tried and failed and succeeded at other times to make it consistent. Now it's a great opportunity to have this goal on November with so many other novelists, writers, and people I do admire. I read a lot actually. I love writing and reading. Actually, since I was little, I was confused between my dream of being a writer and an artist, and then I just combined it. So if you know and you have been subscribed to this channel, you know I have right now tennis elbow and I cannot draw, but I can write. And it's a great opportunity if you want to join me this year's NaNoWRIMO to make a great story. I know comics are also about the artwork, but if you divide, you can conquer, and making a good story even before you start worrying about the artwork would be so liberating. It doesn't have to be. You choose your own process, but I personally think I can do better by doing NaNoWRIMO. Now, what is Preptober? It basically means preparing for you to have an easier time doing 50,000 words or more on November. It is a lot, so there are some useful tools. I have already made another video about outlines. I do love outlines, but some people don't like them, and you don't have to like them. So you do you, but basically an outline is your entire story from beginning to end with no details, and I love that. I have had many outlines, even There was once upon a time where my comic Maze War used to involve magic, and that's completely gone, which is great because I can involve myself more in war and real life stuff. I also have a video about me making characters. I have my gallery of characters in Notion, which is free. I use images I have drawn myself, but if you do not draw by any chance, you can grab images from Pinterest or Google, whatever you would want. And I love doing this not only because I have many characters, but I can keep track of the story and each person's backstory, each person's information. So me as an artist as well, I use Pinterest. I know writers do use it as well. You can also make a Pinterest board of how you imagine your story, how it looks, and other useful information for you to make a good job and to be inspired. There are also people that do have a Spotify playlist that inspire them to make their story. I personally do not use that much Spotify, I use more YouTube. But yeah, that's also another good idea in case you are in the first draft process. This is my first time doing NaNoWRIMO, and I had this question of, okay, so do I need to log in into the website, or what do I have to do? I am going to use Microsoft Word for the challenge, but I do know that you do have to, if you want to participate, you sign up, you announce your project, and that's all you have to do. And you are going to, in the same way I was like keeping myself accountable in this Excel sheet, even though I was counting more the time than the words, you are going to count the words and enter them during the month of November. Honestly, this is very exciting because the whole world participates in NaNoWRIMO. It's like Inktober for artists, but you know, it's super cool. The cool thing also about NaNoWRIMO is that if it wasn't for the Rona from this year, you could have real life events in your city, in your local place, whatever, and you would reunite with lots of writers. There's lots of motivation from people entering this challenge. There are famous writers doing pep talks. There are lots of resources both on the website and other writers. There's lots of blogs from people fighting to get through this. Also, something very useful to do is to make a schedule. First, schedule what you cannot negotiate at all. For example, I have several doctor appointments at least once a week, more or less, so I take that into account. And a new job, even if they haven't responded to me yet, but you know, finding a job, looking for a job is also a job. So yeah, I have that. And I separate and schedule the times where I can write. Another thing is that I am linking down below some of my favorite writer YouTube channels in case you are interested. One of them, Natalia Lee, has a Preptober workbook. It can help you a lot if you don't know anything about writing and to think about your story if you haven't thought about anything. I am doing everything digitally because right now I cannot write by hand either, but if you can, go ahead if it helps you. Also, another thing I want to add really quick is that you shouldn't feel that you have to be a novelist, because making a comic is already enough work only talking about the artwork. So honestly, I do make myself the writing part easier than what novelists do. I do not have to add descriptions because I will draw them. I do not have to pay attention to the grammar and spelling of the words except for the dialogue, because people won't ever see it when I draw the comic. So I just want to give that disclaimer so you don't feel that the work is too daunting to make a comic. We don't have to go to the level of novelists if we don't want to. And honestly, there are different mediums. You have to think always about the visuals, more like a screenwriter than a novelist. Remember that. Also, you can join what they call writing sprints, and they are basically live streams where the writers are just writing and you can work alongside them. Think of them like a study with me, but with writing. And also in the NaNoWRIMO website, you can make friends, add them by username. Some of the writer YouTubers even have their usernames in their description, and I will have mine as well if you want to connect. Or, well, you can join me in Discord that I will make very soon, probably. Anyway, if you are someone that wants to make a comic or a novel, whatever, and you get a kick of doing NaNoWRIMO, I welcome to join me in this journey as well and do it yourself too. This is exciting. You know what to do: like, comment, subscribe. Check my comics if you want to. I will see you in the next video. Bye!